today we're gonna replace all of these with fiches and a dud no fish. The professional part that we're gonna use, let's start with the camera. So this is a R6. It's a big camera with a grip, so it's very comfortable to use. I like the AF lenses. This would be even more expensive if it was RF instead of AF, but it has image stabilization, f2.8 flashes. We're gonna use the X2T, and the big boy that you are seeing here, yes, this is a flash. And this puppy can shoot out 600 watts of light. So a lot of power on this flash, okay? So we're gonna soft with this soft box that it has 2 layers of softness. The stands are amazing. So this stands have a really great spread. This is all metal that doesn't rust. The other one has a cone with a honeycomb and this yellow cover to create a beautiful sunset light on Anahita. Between this guy and those 2 flashes, it will use radios. I'm gonna use around 70-80 millimeters to photograph Anahita here. Now the camera is suggesting 220 of a second shutter. I see that the background is not pretty. Want the details on the back. Let's try to figure that out. 1,000 of a second. There you go. That's more the look that I'm looking for. Now let's turn on the flashes. Directly from here, I'm gonna only shoot that flash, and the camera is trying to stop at 250 of a second of shutter speed. So let's turn on high flashing. So I'm not limited to 250th of a second. Okay, I'm gonna increase the power of that flash. And there you go. We have a little bit of a silhouette on Anahita. Now let's try to fill her into the image. So I'm gonna turn on the other flash, half power. Let's see what we're gonna get. Okay, it's way too powerful. As I told you, it's a very powerful flash. 8 of a power. And beautiful, there you go. Now we have a really good light. Extremely simple. How quick was that? We are already with the good settings for everything.
So to reproduce that image, it took more than 6K photography gear. Is it possible to replicate with entry-level photography gear?
As we are unmounting all of this thing to replace with the amateur gear, there is a really cool digital rev videos where professionals use amateur gear, as I am preparing myself to do. But if you want to see more pictures of Anahita, her Instagram links will be on the description down below.
And we have more videos planned, so subscribe. Bye!
Anahita is holding the camera. Worst camera couldn't be, because it doesn't have a hot shoe. If it had a hot shoe, I could put cheap radio adapter on the cold shoe to trigger the flash. We don't have that, so I'm gonna use the internal flash, fire the other flashes, okay? As a lens, I have the Nifty 50. It's a 50 millimeters lens f1.8. These are extremely cheap. You can find it by 60 bucks secondhand, and they are really good lenses for the price. Of course, this is AF lens. I have an adapter to that, very cheap one. The word flimsy was invented to describe this stance. The diameter of the legs, it doesn't open enough, so the wind is making this thing fall. So I'm gonna ask the mother of the model to hold this thing together, okay? I have an adapter to hold the umbrella. This umbrella is a very cheap, but don't underestimate the umbrella. The umbrellas are really good outdoors for photography. If you get a really cheap model, it doesn't have any security here. Take special attention to not cut yourself. These flashes are extremely basic. There is no TTL, there is no automatic settings, there is no nothing. On and off, introduce the power and then the mode. We're gonna use S1 because the flash will be in manual, so it doesn't flash 2 times. If you don't know, an automatic flash from the camera, it shoots 2 times. That will be on the S2. But as we're gonna use it in manual, let's put it in S1. Very important is to put the sensor, as this thing has no radio, it has a light sensor in here. If it feels a flash, it will shoot. I duct tape a very cheap gel. That is basically it. So let's try to shoot this. So the settings are 100 ISO and f1.8. I could try to do f2.8 to copy the other lens, but come on, we have 1.8, let's use it. The shutter is 200 of a second flash sync limit of this camera, because those things doesn't have high flash sync. Those flashes are limiting what we can do. Let's take a shot and see what we're gonna get. Not a surprise, Anahit is looking really beautiful, but the background, the sky, the blue sky in the clouds, and the beautiful scenery in the back is overexposed. What we can do is reduce the aperture. There is another solution, but I'm gonna show you that in a bit. Something like f8. Let's take a shot. And the sky is now getting better. Beautiful background, but we don't see the most beautiful thing, that is Anahit. She's on the dark. Now, as those flashes has no control, we have to manually go to the back of each flash and increase the power. Let's do that. Okay, I'll power, and let's raise the power of the backlight flash. Usually the backlight needs a little bit more power, so I'm gonna raise all the way to the max. Let's try this thing again. Still way too dark. So I'm gonna raise that flash again. O flash está a disparar. I am using this flash to trigger the other flashes, so I need to know how much power it needs to send to trigger those flashes. So in the menu, I'm gonna go to flash sync, flash firing, and output flash. I'm gonna put medium, and let's see if it's fire. Agora disparei. Não está a disparar. For some reason, that flash is not firing, but the back one, the furthest away one, is actually firing. So what I'm gonna do is...
After painful, wasteful time later, finally, Miguel realized that the flash didn't work.
Okay, now then, the old flash didn't want to work, so we replaced with the expensive flash, but it's in the same settings, okay? Just to diagnose the problem, you see how much time we lose. And I'm walking around between all flashes, blah, 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 blah. Let's do this photo, shall we? Okay, much better. But as you can see, the background is not out of focus as we want it. So we're gonna use f1.8, but with a trick. I'm gonna use an ND filter. And this thing is like sunglasses for your camera. Now, this ND filter is very big. I advise you to buy a big one and then readapt to a small one, okay? Let's see if we're gonna get a good exposure through here. There you go. So the main difference between a professional gear and amateur gear is the time that you need to set up everything.
I wanted to prove that knowledge of photography is way more important than the gear that you use. If you combine all the price of the amateur gear here, it's cheaper than a modern phone. So go outside, do experiments, learn photography.
And we have more. If you want to see, check out. No. If you want to see more videos. Pá, tá tudo mal. And we have more videos planned, so subscribe.
Yes!
Finalmente, pá!